On behalf of Worldview Television and Radio, I'm standing here in a very special but a very sensitive place today. Today is October the 7th. Two important events we are thinking about today. The first is a happy event. Today is the beginning of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, the time of the year that we are commanded to build a sukkah, that's how we say it in Hebrew, a booth, and live in it for 7 days, and we have palm branches as our roofs, and we keep the roof open so that we can see a number of stars. And it reminds us when we lived in the wilderness for 40 years, we lived in booths. And the stars, when we see them at night, reminds us of God's promise to Abraham when he said, your seed will be as the sand and as the stars. So the Feast of Tabernacles begins today, and it's a 7 plus another extra day time of great celebration. But it happens to fall this year on a very solemn, heartbreaking day, and that is October the 7th, 2 years ago exactly today. 6:30 in the morning, I'll never forget. I got a text on my cell phone. I had a group. I was guiding a group, and it was our last day, and we just went outside, and a text from the Ministry of Tourism saying, all guides and drivers, get your groups back into the hotels immediately. Usually you don't get texts like that. So I thought something unusual is happening here. And then within a matter of seconds, the sky lit up like the 4th of July, missiles going off, the Iron Dome intercepting, not sure what was going on. And then every 5 minutes, getting new updates on my cell phone about what was going on. And of course, an army of 5,000 to 6,000 terrorists broke through. And I'm standing here in a city called Sderot. And the surrounding area is a place called Tekuma. I'm right here in Moshav Tekuma. And right behind me is a new museum, friends, and it's a very sensitive museum. It's called the Museum of the Cars, because you will see literally thousands of cars, of jeeps, of trucks that have been destroyed by the terrorists, by RPGs, by Kalashnikovs, by hand grenades. In fact, just yesterday we found new hand grenades from the terrorists that someone discovered. It was in this area that there were a number of ambushes on our people. One of the stories is that the terrorists were able to steal a number of IDF, Israeli military uniforms, dress up as Israeli soldiers, and then what they did is they set up a whole lot of army checkpoints. So when the people from the Nova Festival, which is just up the road, we're going to be there soon, when people from the Nova Festival that were able to escape, they ran to their cars. They sped away, but there they saw an Israeli army checkpost. So they stopped and they were standing in line, or seated in line in their cars. And at the right moment, where you've got hundreds of cars lined up, the terrorists came out in their IDF, Israeli army uniforms, and they went up to the windows and they just went bang, 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 and they shot them and murdered them. And here are some of the cars that were set on fire and destroyed on that horrible day 2 years ago. And today, friends, we remember them. We remember them. We remember them. We remember their families, the ones that are left behind to grieve. 2 years forward, which is today, everyone, who would have imagined that we have been able to finish off Hezbollah, pretty much the Houthis? We have crushed almost Hamas. The Iranians, we've put a stop to their nuclear threat, at least for now. But there's still work to be done. Here on the wall behind me are pictures of people still in captivity. And we think of them and we're hoping that within the next 24, 48 hours, we're going to get some breakthrough and maybe those captives will be coming home and hopefully there'll be more living than we think or expected. In any event, the story's not over. Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel live. 2 years after this tragedy, we are strong, we are surviving, we are thriving, we will rebuild, we are rebuilding. And when we think of the booth, the sukkah, we think of how we dwelt in temporary homes for 40 years in the wilderness. Today, people for the last 2 years have been living in temporary homes and hotels because they've been displaced from their homes. But some of those people are coming back. And it reminds me this time of the year as we celebrate Sukkot, it reminds me of that beautiful promise in the book of Revelation which says, "Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he shall dwell with them, he will be their God, and they shall be his people." And we're thankful that it says in John chapter 1, the Word became flesh and tabernacled with us. He's with us. Emmanuel, God with us. We'll see you soon when we get to Nova with more updates from the land of Israel.
We have a big announcement, folks, something we've been waiting on for several months, and it's now here. It's called Bella Melt. You were on it for just 1 week when you lost 3 pounds. So in the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. It's a sugar-free fast melt caramel. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we've talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel. We're noticing other people losing up to 7 pounds in the first week. 4 pounds has been about the average. As you lose weight and as you take these Bella Melts, it's going to help lower that blood sugar in your body as well.
All the information is there. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. Just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 Fast Action.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab. And here, you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
Hey everyone, Shalom. This is Aharon Levarko once again from Israel. I'm down here in the south. I'm here at Kibbutz Re'im. This is where the site of the Nova Festival happened. Exactly 2 years ago today, October the 7th, there was hundreds of Israeli young people dancing, practically minding their own business, and at 6:30 that morning, an army of between 5,000 and 6,000 terrorists from the Gaza Strip, which is only a very short distance from here, crossed over. They came in on parachutes, jeeps, they broke through fences. And over those next few hours, they massacred 1,200 to 1,300 Israelis. Surrounding me here, you can see, are ornaments, flowers, posters, pictures of those people that were slain. I'm at what's called now the museum. It's a museum dedicated to all of those slain people. You've got these red or orange reddy flowers here, and then you've got places all around where you've got pictures of those people that were slain. You can see behind me on some of those boards stories of some of those. Today is a very solemn day because we're reminded as we hear those tanks explode in the background, or rather firing in the background, reminding us that we're still at war 2 years later. But 2 years after this happened, everyone, we've come a long way. We've still got a way to go, but here in Israel, we feel it's very important to commemorate people that are people's lives who have been either murdered in terrorist attacks or soldiers killed in the line of war, or just innocent victims like people like this here. Families, or whole families that were wiped out. Young people, secular and religious. They weren't only secular, they were religious people as well. Here, down here we have candles, we have a stone in memory. Down here we have stones that are placed. Usually Jewish people put stones either on graves or on special commemorable places, because in the ancient days all altars were made out of stone. And an altar is a place that you offer something to God. So the idea of putting a stone, it's like you're offering that person back to God, as it says, from dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. It's heartbreaking seeing all these young people, their pictures, their stories, and the lives that were snuffed out and what could have been. In fact, there's a famous book about the 6 million Jews that perished in the Holocaust. It's called The 7th Million. What about the following generation? A whole generation snuffed out. I mentioned earlier that today also is the first day of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, a time of celebration. It's very hard to celebrate at times like this, but life goes on. That's the hard part. You know, in the Jewish world, when we mourn someone, we sit for 7 days. The men don't shave, the mirrors are covered. It's not a time for any vanity or glory. And when that 7 days is complete, the first thing that's kind of the traditional thing to do is to stand up and to go for a walk outside. And it's just like a reminder that life goes on. And while our enemies choose a religion of death, we say, when we raise a toast, we say l'chaim, which means to life. And it says in Psalm 118, I will not die, but live and declare the works of the Lord. This story is far from over. We continue to fight. We continue to thrive as a nation and as a people. And with God's help, we will rebuild. And as we look at the memories of these people, their families continue. Some of their Some of the children that were left as orphans, they continue. And with the prayers and support of many people, Israel will once again rise up. Amen.
Hello, I'm Brandon House. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview. We're not changing courses now. We are who we are. We're committed to the truth that we are committed to. Worldview Tube is a broadcast network that I started in 2006, but it's based on my 35 years as an author and speaker and commentator. Worldview Tube is here to defend the truth of a Christian worldview. And we believe we can apply it to all areas of life, like law, science, economics, history, family, social issues, education, religion, major issues.
At worldviewtube.com, we provide news from around the globe that isn't typically covered by mainstream media. Visit worldviewtube.com to watch our experts and analysts discuss all your favorite topics on our 24/7 live stream. Explore our extensive collection of unfiltered and uncensored content from 35 years of production. Go to worldviewtube.com today. Also find us on all of these major platforms and download our Worldview Tube mobile app.
Well, hi everyone. Once again, Aharon Levarko speaking to you from Israel on behalf of Worldview Television and Radio. I'm even further in the south of the desert now, in the Negev. I'm in what's called the capital of the Negev, Beersheba. The word Be'er means a well. Sheva means a oath or seven, a completeness. So Beersheba was the place where the patriarchs came. People like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they came and they dwelt here in the land. Abraham plants a tree. Most people believe there was a tamarisk tree. And by planting that tree, what was he doing? He was bringing the promises of heaven, that to you, Abraham, I give this land. And he was making it solid and secure and bringing the promises of heaven down to earth, putting his roots in the land, not to mention that a tamarisk tree was very good for its properties and its healing agents. Not to forget also that in those days, trees and plants and shrubs were the main way that you would get your food from. Beersheba is a very dry, arid area, the desert. But there are underground waters and springs. And if we remember some of those stories, like for example in Genesis 26, where there were famines in the land, in the days of Isaac, just like the days of his father Abraham. And Isaac wanted to go down to Egypt, but he stayed in the land because God said to him, stay in the land, I'll be with you and I will bless you. And it says, in that year, he reaped 100-fold. That's a miracle in a time of drought. You know, one of the transportation ways of getting around in those days was by camels. They didn't have cars in those days. And right behind me are a group of camels here. Quite a few camels. They were your domestic transportation. Carried a lot of water. And there we have a family of camels there. Beersheba was the place where all of the patriarchs came. It was also the place where they had in the days of the kingdom of Judah, where they had fortresses. And we've found remains at a place called Tel Beersheba. Remember, a tel is a mound of dirt made up of different layers of history. And they found the remains of the southern stronghold of Judah, a fortress there. That's at a place called Tel Beersheba. You know, Beersheba also has a lot of modern history as well. In 1917, a group of soldiers called the British, along with Australian and New Zealand soldiers called the Anzacs, the Australian New Zealand Armed Corps, they fought battles down in Beersheba. And in fact, there was a huge battle made up of a whole lot of light horsemen, mostly from Australia, but there were some New Zealand horsemen as well. And they marched against all the odds, against the Turks who had machine guns. But the horses of the Anzacs and the British were so fierce that they were able to withstand the battle of Beersheba and defeated the Ottoman Turks. The Ottoman Turks were driven out of the land. And then the British declared what is famously called the Balfour Declaration. Yes, Lord Balfour, the British officer and politician, said on behalf of Her Majesty's government, we the British, who were the superpower of the world in that day, we are in favor of a national homeland for the Jewish people. Can you imagine Jewish people living in exile, especially in Europe, where there were a lot of pogroms and anti-Semitism? Hearing the world superpower, the British, say we are in favor of a national homeland for the Jewish people. So this is when the Jewish people started to come back home in the early 20th century, 1917 to about 1922. These were the first waves of Aliyah, immigration. And friends, here we are today, 2025. You know, this last year, 50,000 more Jewish people came back home. God said, I will scatter my people among the nations, and from there I will one day bring them back home. And we're seeing that. We're living in a period where we're seeing prophecies of the prophets, especially Jeremiah 31:10. He who scattered Israel will gather her. So Jews from the north, south, east, west, everywhere coming back home. Is this just an accident? Or is this the word of God being fulfilled? Even down to Beersheba, where the government are trying to expand cities, and instead of a lot of people flocking to the main cities, they're building trains out here. David Ben-Gurion, our first prime minister, he had a vision for this area, and it was based on Isaiah chapter 35, which says, the desert and the wastelands shall be made glad. He didn't live to see it, but we today are seeing the desert becoming glad and blossoming. We've got solar energy. We've got nuclear energy here in the desert. We've got a Ben-Gurion Hospital. We've got Ben-Gurion University. We've got desalinization plants. We've got the Dead Sea. We've got a port in Eilat. The desert is blossoming, just like Isaiah the prophet said. So, welcome to Beersheba, to the capital of the south, the city of the patriarchs, today the city of the Bedouins, and the city where more and more Jewish people are coming back and dwelling in the land that God said He promised to us forever. God bless you, and shalom.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed. We have a big announcement, folks, something we've been waiting on for several months, and it's now here. It's called Bella Melt. You were on it for just 1 week when you lost 3 pounds. So in the first week, you lost 3 pounds on this, right?
That is correct.
Your GLP-1 is a natural hormone that's in every single one of our bodies. And your GLP-1 lets you know if you're full. It's a satiety hormone. So when your GLP is working properly, it does help suppress your appetite as well as reduce those cravings. It's a sugar-free fast melt caramel. So what it's going to do best is it's going to reduce your sugar cravings or any other cravings you have in your body. It's going to suppress that appetite. But where Melissa got the most benefit, I think, over the last week was the L-carnitine. The L-carnitine tells your mitochondria, this is where you make, we've talked about it before, this is where you produce energy in your cells. It actually tells those mitochondria to burn fat for fuel. We're noticing other people losing up to 7 pounds in the first week. 4 pounds has been about the average. As you lose weight and as you take these Bella Melts, it's going to help lower that blood sugar in your body as well.
All the information is there. MelissaHouseBG.com, MelissaHouseBG.com. Just now introducing for the first time Bella Melt with GLP-1 Fast Action.